Hey everyone, today I'm excited because I'm going to be building a brand new LEGO Star Wars MOC. I want to make one with a kind of wintry theme to match the season. Also, I want to use this clone trooper right here, the 501st Heavy. A really cool figure, and I love to use him in MOCs. That said, make sure to stick around till the end because I think you're going to really love the results. Like most of my MOCs, I start with the base plate and then add a black border to it. This isn't anything new. Most people do this. A lot of people actually do this, especially for this smaller scale, because it looks really good. It's very neat, cleanly ties off the MOC. Especially in this smaller scale, I feel like it makes it look more like you're picking a spot out of the Star Wars universe rather than just building something. The next thing to do is lay a foundation for all of the white bricks that'll go on top as the snowy layer. For this, I like to use a bunch of just plates, and for some reason I have a ton of 2x6s in this yellow color, so I use a lot of those. You'll notice I also lay them down unevenly, and this is kind of to cut out the terrain and give me an idea of what I'm shooting for later on. What these plates do though is basically let you not use as many white plates. So for someone with a smaller brick collection, this is a very good tip. What I like to do is just lay those yellow bricks on the bottom, which you will not see in the end. Because I have so many plates of yellow, it's a lot easier to do that and place white bricks on top rather than have to use a bunch of white plates on the top. This doesn't mean I don't use white plates at all, but I just can cut down on those numbers. With that out of the way though, the next thing to do is grab those white bricks and lay them on top for that snowy layer. This is just some simple brick laying, and it may kind of seem boring, but it's actually kind of fun just to go quick and lay a bunch of bricks down. You will notice though I am a little more detailed in this step as I'm trying to refine the terrain just a little bit more. Every step on the MOC is just adding more and more detail, and I think that's what it's about. You start with nothing, add a base layer, add another layer, then you keep adding layers until you get the final product just full of detail and life. While building a MOC, the idea for what you're building is going to be constantly changing. You have ideas in your head that are always in motion, changing what you're going to do, but there's also constrictions by what the bricks can do, what bricks you have, that sort of thing that always make it a challenge. But I think that's what makes Lego building so much fun. It's always a challenge and fun to kind of work around these constraints. Here you really got to make sure you know what you're doing and use those pieces effectively. Anyway, after I get that layer down, I can grab some tiles and some flatter pieces that'll really take this MOC to the next level. You shouldn't underestimate what these pieces can do for a MOC. They can take it from a 5 to a 10. Adding all these flat pieces, the angles, make the terrain so much more dynamic and vibrant, much more fun to look at. Before, the landscape is all studs and no angles, but after this step you're going to see how much it changes, and for the better. Right away when I start placing these pieces, you can see how it brings it all to a new level. It's starting to look like a real MOC. All the extra angles and changes in texture cannot be understated enough. It's one of the best tools we have as MOC builders, and one that should be regularly utilized. I mean, just look at these results compared to what this MOC looked like just one step ago. It's a world of difference. However, as I'm looking at this MOC, I'm starting to realize it's a little too white. Not enough color. Multiple colors spice it up. They make it easier to look at, better to look at, it's very visually appealing, and it's much more easy to see what's going on. When something's all white, some of the details can kind of get lost, but yeah, just a couple other colors in there, and then it really starts to all come together. I think the best way to do this, especially for this MOC, is rocks. For this, all we really need to do is add in a few small rocks here and there. Nothing huge, just enough to kind of offset all the white. For this, I'll use dark gray slopes and just add them in a few spots. I'm not looking for a big statement piece, but just some little accents. You'll even notice I use some 1x1 round stud pieces. Those can also really help and just look like little pebbles. The trick though is you don't want to add too much and overwhelm the MOC, just enough to pop out at you. I really like how they're shaped up, and while it was a small add, I think it makes a massive difference visually. They stand out at you and grab your attention amidst the white landscape. As I'm starting to look around this MOC though, and as we're nearing completion, I start to realize one thing is still missing. Some vegetation and some height. Best way to add both those is some trees. Not only will we get both those, but we're going to get more color added in, and the whole MOC is really going to come together in this stage. Adding vegetation and foliage to a MOC cannot be understated. It is very important. It makes the MOC feel much more lively. It's hard to describe, but when you see just bare bricks, it looks not so great, but then you start to add a couple plants in there, and all of a sudden you have a whole world. So that's what I do here. In this snowy landscape though, I'll have a mix of green and white leaves to make them pop and look more realistic. Right away though, I knew I wanted to kind of do something different with these trees. I wasn't too sure yet, but I would go and figure it out. And when I finally had an idea I really liked, I started to work at it. And for this, I wanted to use this grass stalk piece at the center of the treetop with the leaves attached. So to do that, I had to place these flower pieces on the top and connect the leaf pieces to the top of that. I only did one at first and then placed that in the MOC, and I really liked how it looked. I loved that it wasn't just flat, it really looked like a real tree because it had some angles in there and it was kind of all drooping down. So with that one done, I went and finished two more for the rest of the MOC, and I'm really loving how these are looking. The amount of creativity I feel like you can do with these trees is a lot more. Placing the leaves interlocking with each other at different angles is just so interesting, and it's a much more dynamic shape that looks much more lively and like it's from nature. Trying this new tree method is something I haven't done before, and I'm not sure why. I really love how they look, and this is why trying something different is always important. Sometimes you get in a rut and you just keep building the same thing over and over because that's what you've been doing and you're comfortable with. But sometimes it's good to just get out of your comfort zone, try something new because you'll never know what you discover. Like, I discovered a whole new method to build these trees that work with the pieces I have, and I'm probably going to use this a lot more going forward. I love the look of it and can't wait to use it more in future MOCs. The trees have so much more depth to them and look a lot more natural than other designs I've used in the past. Plus, having the green and white mixture looks amazing and makes the tree look very realistic. After those trees though, there's one thing left to do, and that's placing the minifigures. For the minifigures, I didn't do anything too crazy, just two battle droids on the one end, and to oppose them, that 501st Heavy I talked about earlier. And with that placed in, we have a completed MOC. You know, sometimes less is more, and I think this MOC shows it off wonderfully. I don't have a ton of bricks, but I think this MOC looks good, and I really enjoy what I created. Snowy wintry MOCs are some of my favorites. I don't know why, maybe it's just because the pieces I have work better for it, or maybe it's because I love the Battle Hoth. Either way though, I think this one turned out great. Of course I love the terrain, but the rock adds so much depth to the terrain and really stands out and pops at you. It's small, but I think a crucial part of this MOC, and it would look very barren without that. I do think my favorite though is the trees. They look so different from my normal, simpler style, and I love it, and I can't wait to use it more in the future. Trying new methods is always so important, and I'm so glad I did it with this MOC. In particular, this one though, I think the snowy leaf effect is really neat, and probably the best part of these trees, even though I tried a new building style. I think it all came together beautifully, and as a MOC, I'm very proud of. So, there we have it. We're done with our journey here, and the MOC is built, completed, and I think I did a great job. I'm really proud of what I built. And at the end of the day, that's really what's important to all LEGO creators out there. You know, when you go and build something, it's not always about what other people think about it, but sometimes just what you think and how well you did, especially considering everyone has different circumstances with their brick collection. Like I keep mentioning, I don't have the biggest one, but I still love to build MOCs, so I make do with what I have. And to some degree, it can make it very fun because it's also a challenge. At the end of the day, though, I think this MOC stands on its own and can be proud of it despite any other challenges I faced along the way. Let me know in the comments, though, what you guys think, any tips for MOCs, any MOCs you want to see in the future. Let me know all that down in the comments. Thanks for watching. Until next time, I'll see you guys later.